said, I hope it's quieter where you are, but I don't think it's going to be quieter for that much longer wherever you are. I think we've lit a blue touch paper, and there is literally going to be nowhere left to retire to. I think this is it, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is, I've been saying end of days for a long time, right? For a couple of years, a couple of 3 years now, right? I don't think I'm so off, right? I don't think I'm so off. For several reasons, right? I think this is the final battle at the end of days is about to start, and it's going to engulf everyone. I mean, that's certainly the way that this is looking. It's been a strange day. I'll tell you, this whole thing is odd. It's very, very, very strange. Odd's the wrong word, but like I've been doing it because I watch a lot of media about Israel and the war and things like that, because I'd like to see where the pulses of the world, and it's very different this time than it has been from other times, right? I've been saying this since it started, but this is a litmus test, right? This instantly shows you if you're a good or a bad person, right? BBC, of course they can't call Hamas terrorists. Of course they can't, because they're evil, and they can't hate, good, because they're evil, right? I think this is a litmus test for good. I can understand somebody not knowing the history of Israel, not knowing the history of the conflict, or not knowing the Israeli side of it, because you do get a lot of bullcrap. But like just being presented what we were presented with on October 7th, and it's got worse, right? The more we see, the worse it gets. But yeah, look, one of the people I was watching, I was watching Talk TV as well, was Piers Morgan, because I figure he's like a somewhat of a normie, right? Somewhat of a normie attitude, right? And he said several times that I don't know whether to trust him or take him on his face value or not, which I do, right? I do. But he's like, what's the proportional response? Well, will you let your rage, Israel's rage at these atrocities that we're going to be talking about? It's going to be hard stuff that we're looking at tonight, right? Honestly, I could do a 3-hour show on this. I'm not going to, right? For my own bloody sanity, as much as anything else. Yeah, we want to talk about a bit of Doctor Who, bit of geeky stuff. I like a bit of geeky stuff, and there's quite a bit to talk about. But here's the thing. There's not rage, as far as I can tell, in Israel. There's not rage because, for me anyway, I think most people are still in shock, right? It's this the more evil the stuff that comes out, right? And again, we're going to be looking at today. We're still in shock. I would say it's like this. I think this is about refining as a nation, like as the nation of the Jewish people, about us rediscovering our identity, about who we are, what we believe our purpose is in the world, right? What we believe our position in the world. Sometimes, we get called the chosen people. It's not as good as you think. I mean, frankly, if we were chosen to have bacon and shrimp, that would seem to be a better choice to me. But one of the things we have a commandment for is to eradicate evil, right? Which is what we're seeing right now, right? What our kids are being called up to do, to eradicate evil. There was a story of in the, what do you call it? In Hebrew, it's called Tanakh. The prophets or the writings, I can't remember which, of King Saul, the first king of Israel. Right, he was commanded to destroy the nation of Amalek. Right, and he did it. Right, he including women, children, and animals. Right, everything. Erase them from the earth. Seems pretty harsh, right? And I'm not advocating that, honestly. It goes against any moral soul to do that, right? And he didn't do it completely. He let the king live like an extra night, and from that, essentially, the Nazis came, right? But like that's part of the job of the Jewish people to eradicate evil, right? And I don't think it's solely on the Jewish people's shoulders anymore. I think we've somewhat lost our exclusivity in our role in the universe, right? I think to a great extent. I talk about this quite a lot. I do think like Christians today, we should really be taking a page out of their books. I mean, like real religious Christians, right? Who are very earnest, and I'm so impressed, right? When like I follow like a lot of people I follow are religious Christians, like Jack Puzzlebeck, right? And at their personal integrity. What's the other one? Seamus Coughlin. Well, I don't agree with them on everything, obviously. I do. I am impressed with their lack of embarrassment at their connection to God, right? And again, I'm not Bible thumping or telling you what to do or what to believe, right? I never am, right? I never am. But like, it's been a strange day because I've seen a few things, and one thing hit me really, really, really hard, right? And we're going to be going over them. I think we'll start with this because this one really, it just took me by surprise, right? And this was like a kick in the stomach. It really was. It was winded me. Is the best way to describe it. It was. I spoke about this on last stream. Tragic end for the Harry Potter fan whose plight was highlighted by J.K. Rowling, as it's revealed the 12-year-old autistic child who was also Special Olympics champion at judo. Apparently, I mean, like okay. Was killed by Hamas in front of her grandmother. And like the level of obscenity and cruelty is unbelievable. So this is this little girl, 12-year-old girl, autistic girl. I can't imagine how terrified she must have been, right? I cannot imagine how terrified she must have been. Is this the latest story about it? One second, let me see if I can find. Her name is Noah Dan. And it was in the Daily Mail. Let's see if I can find a more recent story about her. Inside the school's remains of her home. I'm not sure we want to go there. Is this the one? Oh yeah. I mean, there's just been a lot. Yeah, because there's been a lot of stuff about this today. Because, like, again, what kind of evil shit is this? Right? I mean, that's the wrong one. Like, what kind of evil shit is this? Is this the one? I saw there was one before. So yeah, this little girl, she was visiting her grandmother. Your brain just can't accept it. This is worse than the Nazis. I mean, look, I want to tell you, I got a story in Dr. Alex's season 14, and a large portion of it takes place in Nazi Germany or Nazi Poland, actually, as a whole town's worth of Jews are forced into a synagogue and boarded up there, and the synagogue burnt down. That's how they would, because basically what would happen with this, you'd have like the shock troops go in, the Nazi, not the SS, and the SS will follow them, right? And the SS job will surround up the Jews and torture them or kill them, essentially, or just and then they would be held behind as a reserve forces, which they never needed, right? Because they were very good. And what they would do a lot of times is get all the Jews in one town, put them in the synagogue, board up the synagogue, and burn it down. Well, job done, right? And so a large portion of it takes place there. It's not quite as dour as it would sound, right? As depressing as, but like, whatever Nazi movie you've seen, like Schindler's, there's nothing to compare with these animals, right? I just I don't know, like who kills autistic women, autistic girls, and grandmothers. So so unfortunately their remains were discovered. They were taken, but they were shot on the way. She must have caused some trouble, right? Or she has been freaked out or something, right? So yeah, I won't play her last voicemail to a mother who was also hiding 5 miles away in her safe room. See, look, that's the other thing I think of. Like I'm in my safe room right now, which is built for air raids, right? But there's this thing you can't lock the door. So we have this thing where somebody's worked out how you cut a piece of wood and then you put it on the handle and then you can't open the door, essentially, right? So we were going to get one, and then I heard, oh no, then they just burned everybody alive. They burned you to death if they didn't get you out. So I'm like, I don't know which ways. Yeah, but like these are the real choices that I'm having to make. Right? I'm having to think about. So yeah, she shared her final tragic voice message to her, sent as she cowered inside her mother's home in near Oz, while Hamas gunmen stalked the kibbutz, searching for residents to kidnap or kill, which is essentially what they did. And torture. Torture was a big thing, right? We're going to get into that in a second. Mum, there was a big boom at the door and it scared me. Noel saying in Hebrew in her voice. And played on media. All the windows to Grandma's house have been broken at the entrance because there was another boom. There are many windows broken. Mummy, I'm scared, right? And then Noel's mother, Galit, who's 53, blimey, she's cracking on to have a kid. We've got her 5 miles away in her panic room. Like Jessica, she says, look, Jessica's it's not that she didn't understand what's going on. She understood everything. So they didn't know where they're keeping her, but this is the poor girl's mother. But they killed both of them en route. It's just like, so you would think, you can't really get much worse than that. Hold my coffee, says Hamas. Again, I'm going to give you viewer warning because this is really dark shit we're about to get into. Right? It's really dark. But the thing that really kicked me in the gut most was the story of that girl. Right? Shocking, right? Shocking. And then this started doing the rounds as well.
The first house we saw was a couple, father and mother, sitting there on their knees on the floor. They were on the knees, now they were head down, hands tied to the back. On the other side of the dining room was...
I want to point out, like, this guy's the first responder. He's responded to hundreds of terrorist attacks. He's seen hundreds of bodies, thousands of bodies, right? This is not his first trip rodeo. Right, outside the room, there was a 7-year-old boy.
7-year-old boy and a girl, I would say about 6 years old, sitting just against the parents, hands tied to the back.
Like, who ties a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old's hands behind their back? Like, what threat could they possibly... It wasn't about being a threat.
Same position. The bodies were tortured. While now, start to use your imagination.
Let me invite you. Don't start using your imagination, right? Don't start using your imagination.
Who was tortured before? Who saw if this was on purpose? If this was the children looking at the parents being tortured? The parents seeing? And when I say tortured, I will say missing body pieces. An eye, just taken out an eye.
I think that's one of my all-time greatest fears in life.
One eye. Fingers being, and all this happened, and by the end, they all had a bullet.
I mean, like, man, I've never wanted to get the bullet first, right? I was like, but I hope they did.
And still not finished. In the middle, there's a table. Those tables were sitting and eating.
Yeah, look, this was Sabbath, right? This was on a Saturday. So clearly, with your family, you have a family meal on Sabbath, which you on Friday night and Saturday day. And they went and ate their Sabbath meal.
The Saturday meal that was prepared for this family, they just took it and they ate this meal while torturing these children.
And there's more reports coming out. Like they took a bunch of children alive, right? Threw them in a pile and set fire to them alive. Like, I understand there are civilians and children being killed and maimed and injured in Gaza now. I understand that. No one's happy about that, right? No one is happy about that at all, right? And so, you know, it's like it's so shocking, right? It's so shocking. So there's no rage at the moment. In fact, you need some distance before you can have rage. We don't have any. Like, all our kids are us. Everyone is personally involved, right? This is not like, oh, that's terrible. Everybody is personally involved, right? My son, they are raring to go, right? I don't think they're going to be going for a while, from what I can tell. Who knows? Like, my son told me today, like he gave his phone back, which means he's not going anywhere. That, like, he didn't tell me details, but he said, but they told me one of the plans, and it's like the biggest thing he's ever heard, right? So I have no idea what they're planning, but something huge is going to go down. Anyway, so somebody sent me this via WhatsApp today. So you're going to get a bit of a Rabbi origin story, because I wasn't always religious, right? I became religious when I was 19 in 91, December 91. And what made me religious was essentially I was a reasonably successful kid, and then everything turned to crap, right? My life just, like, for a year, just everything fell apart. And then I ended up with an open ticket to Israel. And then I had some more bad news. I can't even remember what it was, right? But, like, while I was in Israel, there's a outreach rabbinical academy that exists to teach people who don't know much about their history, their what's the word I'm looking? Their heritage, right? And I figured, I'm open-minded. I go to anything, right? And I got this bad news. I can't remember what it was. It's bad news, right? So I came the next day for the classes, because I'm like, yeah, why not? I already agreed to. And it was this guy, Rabbi Noach Weinberg, of blessed memory. He passed away about 10, 15 years ago. And he's like, so what's problems, right? And this class was tailored for me. So what's problems? And it says it's just God trying to get your attention. So I think that plays well here. Anyway, so this was from about 15 years ago. He's talking about the I think the first Intifada. So I got these over a couple of clips. So I'm not going to play the whole thing because it goes on for about 10 minutes. But there's a lot there that's worth listening to. In your own time. Off you go.
There aren't many of us here who remember 48.
1948 was when the War of Independence for Israel, right? And he gives you a fascinating perspective because he was there.
But everybody knows the story. The Arab world, 7 standing armies invaded a nation brought from the sword, saved from the sword, gathered together, left by our British patrons without weapons. They turned the weapons over to the Arabs.
Yeah, this was back before the age of political correctness, when you can actually say this. But yeah, that's essentially what the British did. I've developed a theory. That's why I think one of the reasons I think Churchill lost the election in 45. It's because I think the plan was to create the state of Israel and then give it all the advantages to the Arabs, and the Arabs would just wipe out the Jewish refugees and be done, right? I don't think Churchill would have gone along with that.
There was an embargo on Israel getting any weapons while the Arab armies were being formed and supplied by Europe and by Russia and by the United States. What would our people say today? I have no hope, we're finished. Well, what would we say today?
Right, and again, this was 15 years ago. So let me scoot forward to about 6 minutes in.
And tell you, we forgot who we are.
Yeah, what's that? Let me go back for that. It's set up for that.
Terrorists, 7 standing armies. We didn't have any.
Yeah, what's that?
The great Egyptian army.
Oh, okay. So now he's talking about the Yom Kippur War. That's the 72, right?
In the Golan Heights on Rosh Hashanah of that year, there were 20,000 civilians.
So yeah, basically what he's saying about it was an incredible miracle because they attacked on this day Yom Kippur, which is literally the only day where everybody kind of like goes to shore and observes in some way, which meant they could mobilize very quickly and the roads weren't clogged.
Who were clogging the roads? On Yom Kippur? None. They were able to bring up the artillery and they were able to bring up the tanks, the reserves. And we survived. And we beat them. No question about it. The world had to come running to save the great Egyptian army. What happened to us? Running away from Lebanon. What happened to us? Hezbollah?
Yeah, he's like looking at like the threats we have now. Hamas, Hezbollah, and we play with them?
Hezbollah? Terrorists. 7 standing armies. We didn't have any tanks, nothing. No, we got them. What in the world happened to our proud Jewish people? And tell you, we forgot who we are.
And I think that's like plaguing the whole world, a forgetting of our identity. And again, look, this is a bit Bible thumping, right? This is a bit, but I believe this shit, right? I think we've forgotten who we are, and I think this has reminded us who we are, right? And not only has it reminded us of who we are, it reminded us who everybody else is as well. Because was it Douglas Murray? Brilliant quote, right? Brilliant quote. It says sometimes things happen, and a flare goes up, and you see where everybody is. And I tell you, it's much better than I thought it would be. There's about 30% people who hate Jews, right? If you hate Jews, you hate Jews. And you know, like the Jeremy Corbyns of the world, they'll dress up in like whatever, you know, in intellectualism. But it's basically, was it Owen Jones? He hates Jews. It's clear he hates Jews, right? Yeah, sadly was a tragedy. But the 75 years of occupation and oppression, none of which has actually happened, right? All these things are like the 4 lies they keep telling, occupation. There's no an occupation of Gaza. We left and ethnically cleansed all the Jews from that region so we would have peace with the people of Gaza. They elected Hamas almost instantly, right? There's no occupation. There's no apartheid state. What nonsense. We have Palestinians in the Supreme Court in every facet of society. This is not an unpopular move, right? Most Israelis will be offended at the idea, that everybody wouldn't have equal rights, regardless of their ethnicity, of their religion, of their gender, of their sexual orientation. Even though, again, I'm a Bible thumping Jew, I would be offended at the idea, of not everybody having equal rights, right? There's no apartheid state, right? They got the open air prison. We built a fence to stop you coming in and blowing us up with your suicide bombings, and it worked. I'm sorry, right? I am sorry we stopped you killing us. And then, stolen land. They stole the land 75 years. Nonsense. That's what he was just talking about. The 1948 war. We had nothing. We had nothing whatsoever. Right? Everything we got was like, it was like conned out of people or stolen or, bribed. We didn't have weapons. We had nothing. All we had is gone. It worked out pretty good. If we just realized that if we just had an iota of the religious awareness that the Christians have, we would be a world power, right? And I truly believe that, right? And I'm not saying I'm better than you. No, it's not that. It's not that at all. But hey, let me go to this other clip of him, which it's from the same speech, but it's somewhat better quality.
Can you imagine one nation in the whole world that would be bombed one day, that would continue to give their enemy electricity, fuel, water, humanitarian aid?
Really? Yeah, you think you'll do it in America, in England, wherever you're watching, Australia? Do you think you'll do it? Honestly, if you had, I don't know, separatists in Wales were like firing thousands and thousands of rockets, forget going into your country and look, torturing fucking children and murdering them and kidnapping. Forget that. Just do you think anyone will be like, oh no, well, we still got to give them food and water? I mean, that'd be crazy. And I'm not advocating, like, they come up with all these words like group punishment. Like, what do you want us to do? Honestly, what do you want us to do? There's no one as humanitarian as we are.
Is there such a nation? I'm asking. Is there? It's unbelievable. It's surrealistic. What does it mean that we continue? Everybody knows that if we cut off their electricity and their fuel and their water and their supplies, everybody knows that the Hamas would be thrown out in 2 weeks, a month, 2 months. Come on. What does it mean that we don't do it? That means we're afraid of world opinion? Jewish blood, a world opinion?
Man, I can't disagree with him, and he's right. We have been the timid Jews, right? We have been, right? And I think the time, well, whether we like it or not, the time's upon us now not to be, right? And I think this is going to get much bigger than it is, and it's already huge. And I think it's going to happen pretty darn quick. I think this month. I hope this month. Oh, please let it be this month.
Who are we? And then the Attorney General in the Supreme Court says that it's forbidden to cut off the electricity. 7 years, people are living in terror. Terror.
Yeah, again, this was back in what, 2010, I think? Earlier, maybe.
People are getting killed. He can't do anything about it. He can't do anything. He can't cut off the electricity. That's not humanitarian. Hey, man, who taught this world about being our brother's keepers?
Now, this, I think, is enough, right? This is why I think people like Jeremy Corbyn, like Owen Jones, they hate Jews, right? And it's a subconscious internal hatred, and it is a virulent one, right? And that's why they hate religion as well, right? It's because they know that they want to believe themselves the arbiters of morality, and they know they're not, right? And they it's, you know what it's like? Do you remember the original series of Battlestar Galactica? You had this really weird reason why the Cylons wanted to destroy what they call it, the 12 tribes from Kobol, right? Why? Because they didn't want anybody else to have the same biped form as them. And I'm like, well, that's weird. But basically, they want to destroy what those who are really what they want to be. Right? Owen Jones wants to be a moral person, but the only way to be a moral person is to remove morality from the world. And that's how you're able to do that. You got to get rid of the Jew, right? You got to get rid of that Judeo-Christian morality, right?
Who taught this world about charity? Who taught the whole bloody world about the dignity of the individual? Who taught the whole world about justice for all, about the brotherhood of man, about peace on earth. Who did it if not the Jewish people? And the Jewish people says, when you got to defend your people, you defend them.
That's what we're doing. And like, I'm sorry that people are going to be collateral damage. I'm sorry people are going to be hurt.
What we've got to do is we've got to wake up our people. Remember 48, we have nothing to be afraid of. 56, 67, even 73. If we're proud, if we know who we are, if we know our destiny, the world needs us.
And that's not just true of Jews, that's true of every person. That's why I don't think nationalism is a bad thing per se. Know who you are. But if you're British, be proud of being British. For God's sake, you did so much greatness for the world. I mean, yeah, you did shitty things too. You're British. You know why the sun never set in the English Empire? Because even God didn't trust the English and the Dutch. But you did great things. You ended slavery. You brought civilization to most of the world. And law, order, democracy.
We have nothing to be afraid of. Thank you.
So that's my rabbi of blessed memory. So, although I have to tell you, this thing has really made me very, very, very optimistic, right? Because again, I don't look at everything from a surface level. I look at everything from a spiritual level. And blimey, 35 minutes already. I look at everything from a spiritual level, right? And so, the atrocities we saw on October 7th, on that Saturday, was, again, I believe was the will of God, right? I believe it was the will of God, which means it was a heavy punishment. And that was a heavy punishment, right? But I didn't know if it's over or not, right? And I'm not really going to know until we have forces engaged. Inform Starfleet Command. We have engaged the Borg. Da, da, da. But if only it was as cool as the Borg, right? So the thing that happened yesterday really gave me a lot of hope, which was the story about the hospital, right? Again, shows up in incredible vivid detail. Clearly, who is on the side of good and who is evil, right? Let me show. There's a short video that fills you in about everything about this.
Bombed a hospital in Gaza. The whole world immediately assumed.
Hello, can I just give them a couple of notes? This is the Army media division. Why do you get an attractive woman? I mean, like, for goodness sake, it's not like you don't have many of them, right? This guy is a better looking guy. I mean, this guy or somebody darker. This is the absolute worst looking person to do this, right? He's too Jewy. All right, this is why they don't have me on board.
It was an Israeli strike. No fact-checking, no making sure, no filtering information. Hamas set up a trap, and the international media fell for it. Instead of verifying the information, the media keeps publishing fake news. They quoted a terrorist organization.
Like, I'm on his side, he's winding me up. He's getting under my skin.
That beheaded babies, rapes women, and indiscriminately kills before seeing any proof. Was ISIS ever considered a credible news source? This behavior rewards misinformation and encourages lies. And it showed terrorists around the world that this tactic, lying, works. This will remain a critical point in the coming days.
So this has actually worked really, really well, right? This was this didn't go down the way I thought it would, right? So we got the realities of the story, which it was a Hamas rocket, proven pretty much beyond any reason. Where we've even got like the internal phone call from it within Hamas saying, "Oh yeah, we did that," right? But the story went from like 500 children murdered by Israel, which with people are still peddling, to really nothing. It was a parking lot got singed.
Repeating Hamas's lies can and does cost lives in Gaza, in Israel, and around the world. Media outlets demonstrated that the most basic tenet of journalism, fact-checking, is sorely lacking. The whole world is asking for accountability from a country for defending its civilians after brutal massacre. And yet, not only is accountability not demanded from Hamas, their lies are taken as facts and then misreported around the world. Just remember, the whole world is watching.
You know, I think the whole world is watching, but I think more than that. I think God's watching, right? And again, I'm not trying to convince you to believe in God or believe what I believe, right? I think God's watching, right? And I think a day of judgment, man, is close. I think it's very, very close. But, you know, again, I'm really, it's very good. In fact, it's been a real source of strength for me to see how many people, I would say about 70% of people are like, no, this is outrageous. Like there are, the 30% who hate the Jews, the Owen Jones, the Jeremy Corbyns, all those people, you know, they will always blame Israel forever, no matter what has we've seen, right? As we've seen, like we will always see that, right? So so this is a great interview, right? Which shows you what happens when and this is really not what happens much before when people, the apologists for Hamas, are called out on their bullshit.
Do you want to talk to another?
So let me go. I think this is about 6 minutes in. I want to go. I mean, again, I complained about the Israeli guy. I think he's doing better than this young lady. 1 second. I think from here.
But why they targeted?
Here it is.
We're leaving.
Well, again, that's, as you know, that's disputed, and the IDF claimed that was actually a booby trap bomb left by Hamas. Can I ask you, just finally, even in the wake of that massacre of Israelis on October the 7th, what to you would be a proportionate and reasonable response from the Israeli armed forces?
Like, yeah, what are we allowed to do? Like, according to you, Fatima, whatever your bloody name is, what are we allowed to do, darling? Right? Like, what's okay? I mean, like, look, honestly, you were very, very naughty people there in the Gaza, right? Hamas, very naughty people. What are we allowed to do? So let's hear her response
to that massacre of their nationals. What would be you think reasonable?
I didn't get your question. Can you say that again?
Given the
you know they're always bullshitting when they say, can you repeat the question? You know that's they're sweating and they're bullshitting.
Massacre of 1,400 people, Israelis, women, children, the taking of hostages, 199 hostages, all of the horrific atrocities involved in that massacre by Hamas.
203 now, apparently. What
do you believe, as a Palestinian journalist living in Gaza City, what would be a proportionate and reasonable response from the Israelis to that?
You know what is the saddest thing here is that
no, answer my question, please.
You know, we only hear the mainstream media or the media in the West.
No.
Yeah, no, darling, you don't. Normally, it's your narrative. Just answer the fucking question.
Please, Wafa, please answer my question. What you're saying that the response of the Israelis right now is unacceptable. You're calling it a massacre. What would be a reasonable response?
It's ethnic cleansing.
Okay, so what would be a reasonable response?
You know, like we have been suffering, have been subjected to the Israeli occupation of brutality.
There's no fucking occupation. We gave it back to you 19 fucking years ago. And you lost the land in a war that you started where you completely outgunned us. I'm sorry we didn't fucking die, darling.
And oppression since nearly 75
so what
years.
Would be a reasonable response?
And even
if all that was true, what do you think is a reasonable response?
We have 5,000 Palestinians are still in the Israeli occupation jails. We have one.
Yeah, of course. They didn't do anything to get themselves.
170 Palestinian kids that are still in the Israeli jails.
There's no fucking children in fucking Israeli jails, you lying cunt.
We have nearly 40 Palestinian women inside the Israeli jails.
Wafa, you're a journalist. You're a journalist. Yeah. I'm a journalist. I'm asking you, from the perspective as a Palestinian woman living in Gaza City, what would be, if you think the Israeli response is unreasonable, disproportionate, it's wrong, what would be the right, proportionate, reasonable response to 1,400-year-old people being massacred? What would be acceptable to you for them to do, other than say, oh, well, never mind, we'll just carry on as usual, which is clearly not going to happen? One final chance. What would be the reasonable response?
Yeah, you are just saying that we are journalists, and I'm a Palestinian journalist, yes, living here under this harsh condition.
You're just not going to answer. Do you not think that's a reasonable question to ask you?
Listen, it's the question. I mean, like, you didn't know that they committed, like, since we...
So there's nothing we could do, right? We're the worst people ever. We do all these terrible things. There's nothing we can do that would be okay, right? You could just do that and it's fine, right? You can literally tie children together and burn them fucking alive. You can take a 12-year-old autistic girl, Harry Potter fan, and shoot her in a fucking face in front of a fucking grandmother, and that's all fine. We shouldn't do anything, right? We should. The mask, and I find it kind of ironic that I'm saying this about this lady. The mask is off, right? The mask is off. But here, so Piers Morgan, yes, they were cornered the another one of these bloody apologists, and I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but just look how he squirms, right? Look how he squirms.
I'm joined by the Palestinian ambassador to the UK, Hussam Zomlet. Ambassador, thank you very much indeed for coming in. I do appreciate you taking the time, particularly at a time like this, to come to the studio. You were very active on Twitter from the moment that this hospital was hit. You said it's a massacre. Hundreds are killed in an Israeli strike on the hospital. Hundreds of medical staff taking refuge. How long will it take to stop these atrocious war crimes? You then said waiting for UK government condemnation of this atrocious act of mass murder after being directly hit by an Israeli airstrike.
See, that's why this was so great, right? I mean, it was terrible, loss of life, but this was so great in terms of a communications battle, about a propaganda war, which is what war is. It's one of the factors of what it is. It's because they said it was the worst thing ever, and then it turns out they did it. And then, and they screamed it was the worst thing ever. Oh, the Israelis. Oh, they injured. Oh, it was us. Right? So they say it was from their own mouths. It was the worst thing ever. But here's the thing: the norm is now look at them like they're full of shit, no matter what they say. This is a massive, massive turnaround, right? Which is why I think this is it. This is the war at the end of days.
And you carried on when Keir Starmer said the scenes of hundreds killed at the hospital in Gaza are devastating, can't be justified. International law must be upheld, but didn't mention Israel. You said, why can't you condemn this? Why is it so hard for someone with a background in human rights law? Is it because the victims are Palestinian? So you were in no doubt last night. This was an Israeli airstrike. And yet I watched the BBC News this evening. They did an extensive investigation of everything that's available.
And they must have fucking hated doing this because they are getting shit beyond shit because they can't call Hamas terrorists.
Moment by their Verify unit, specifically designed to cut through any partisan rhetoric.
And again, another miracle, which is why I think this is we're in biblical times here, is that somehow, and this is an open miracle, right? Somehow Israel is on the establishment side for the first time in like 50 years. And so the establishment machine is like, oh no, Israel's okay. It was the Palestinians. If it wasn't, who was it from? LBC was going, oh, we got it wrong because of the blue check marks that Elon Musk. No, you got it wrong because you have blood dripping at your mouth at the idea of being able to morally vilify Israel or the Jews, which is really what you want to do.
It can get to reality, and based on circumstantial evidence, as they said, but the clear conclusion of that investigation is it's far more probable that this was actually fired from within Gaza. It was a misfire, and it landed in the car park next to the hospital. And they cite, for example, the crater is tiny.
Right, and the BBC, when they reported, said, oh, don't have confirmation yet, but I don't see how this could be anything other than the Israeli imperialistic Zionistic scum airstrike. I'm embellishing. I don't see it could be anything other than that. Yeah, well, it turned out to be something quite other than that.
By comparison to the kind of crater you would see from a conventional Israel missile, and so on. What is your response to that? Have you changed your...
This is brilliant. This is brilliant.
Absolute conviction that this is an Israeli airstrike?
Before I answer your question, Piers, today is the first day of our national mourning for the killing of hundreds of innocent
we're still burying our dead, you cunt. Finally enough.
people. And in memory of those hundreds of doctors, nurses, medical staff,
Which you killed, right? The Hamas, you people you advocate were killed.
patients,
If they were dead at all, but I think he might have embellished it a little bit. Okay.
cancer patients, patients with kidney failures,
Yeah, all these people that you killed.
children, innocent people who took refuge in a Baptist-sponsored
Yeah, you killed them all, mate. It was you.
hospital, the Anglican. In memory of all of those who were killed last night, allow me to have a moment of silence.
You mean like, can I just drag this out so I can avoid answering? Oh, fuck. What am I going to say? What am I fucking going to say? I can blame the occupation. I'll blame the occupation.
Now, back to your question. This very same hospital, the Baptist Ahli Hospital of Gaza, was bombarded only 2 days before last night by the Israeli airstrike.
Listen, mate, if Israel bombs a building in Gaza, the building's no longer there. So how, what? You say we blew it up, we destroyed it once and then we built it up again and destroyed it again. Is that what you're saying?
And they recognize that. This very same hospital was designated by Israel as a place to be evacuated.
Yes. I wish they designated that poor fucking autistic girl's house as a place to be evacuated before they came and raped and fucking murdered her.
This very same hospital, the director of it was called by the Israeli occupation authorities asking him...
There's no fucking occupation! Look, dude, there's no fucking... But look, okay, this is... This is... He waffles on, right? There's really... I mean, look, if you want to see the full interview, it's on YouTube. Help yourself. But this is why... Bottom line, we're seeing a lot of this today, right? We're seeing a lot of this today, which is... I'm going to show you a few clips of it. Yeah, look, so whenever we want, we're trying to just keep this in everyone's mind. And you see these two cunts taking pictures of him in front of it and laughing? Like, fuck me. No one in Israel is laughing and dancing about the killed children in Gaza. We would much rather that didn't happen. But then again, we're better than you. But there, and also you see this as well. A need to destroy people knowing what's going on, right?
Tearing them down.
Look at this pasty little cunt. It's tearing down the flyers.
Innocent people were kidnapped.
People killed the hospital bomb.
Oh, the hospital bomb. You mean the one that Hamas did? Well, Islamic Jihad, and it was. They didn't aim at it. They just screwed up because it's not unusual, right?
Yeah, if it was your sister or your daughter or one of your brother, will you take her out as well?
35 years.
Yeah, 35 years. If you will be in Gaza, you probably will not be allowed to wear these trousers.
I think you're allowed to wear pants, trousers in Islam. I don't know.
They will kill you as well. Yeah, you're all hypocrite. That's why. You're using the democracy against the people. Shame on you. Disgrace. Yeah. Go and learn. Go and learn a little bit.
Yeah. So, man, there's a lot of it about. What was that? There's a lot of it about. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.